Inter Milan 1, AC Milan 0. Inter Milan progressing to the Champions League final, 3-0 on aggregate. And that was a walk in the park. For the Champions League semi-final, way too one-sided, man. I thought it was going to be a contest. The two teams from Milan going blow for blow, but not that way whatsoever. It was a complete whitewash. Inter Milan dominating AC Milan over the both legs and well-deserved to go through to the final now. In what I think, to be honest, will be a whitewash for Real Madrid or Man City. Whoever gets through to the final, Real Madrid or Man City will feel like they've won the Champions League. Like, it's got to that point. Genuinely, it was that easy, man. That easy. But this is football, man. This is football. Anything can happen. Inter Milan did the right thing. I think they've got good style of play under Inzaghi. They kept the ball flowing. They knew how to use the space on the wings as well. Bombing forward, especially Dumfries as well on the right-hand side. He was doing brilliantly as well. Because AC Milan's player fought the back, right? And when you had the overload from the wing-backs, they didn't know how to contain all the attacking players. And the two up front as well, Edin Dzeko and Lautaro Martinez were having an absolute field day. They did all their damage in the first leg, really. And I said, come to the second leg, AC Milan can still get something from this game. They just got to make sure they're smart about how they play. They can't go into it too early, and they can't try and chase this game too early. But what they showed is that they didn't really want to chase this game at all. They had a lack of urgency the whole game. Not once did they really think, let's go and chase this game, let's get something from it. There's a fine line between being too urgent and being kind of, in a way, complacent and being too naive and just chasing the game out the blocks, and also just being lacking all urgency and not making any sort of movement to try and get a goal back. Inter Milan did that. AC Milan did that, sorry. What they should have done is they should have managed the game really well, but still shown a threat on the counter-attack. Or even not necessarily counter-attack, but just show a threat in the attacking sense. I think Diaz had one chance on the cutback, which he should have done better, if not Onana making a brilliant save. Other than that, no real chances whatsoever, man. And Inter Milan were comfortable. And over the two legs of 180 minutes, I guess the plus point for Inter Milan is they weren't tested. Like, Onana had maybe one or two big saves to make, that's it. And it was comfortable. It was a coast through to the final. And for Milan derby, it's not good enough. Genuinely, it's not good enough. I'm really disappointed in AC Milan, man. Like, people think I'm wearing a shirt, think I'm an AC Milan fan. I'm not even an AC Milan fan. I'm a Rafael Leao fan. But still, I was expecting more. I was expecting them to at least come out the blocks. Like, the first leg, it went the way it did, man. You can't change the past, but you can right those wrongs in the second leg. That's what Champions League football does. It gives you the opportunity to reflect and recover and improve into the second leg. And that's what AC Milan should have done, man. But they didn't. They didn't one bit. They lacked all the urgency. And again, over two legs, Inter Milan dominated. Won both legs convincingly, did not concede a goal, and have done really well over these two legs, man. I'm really proud of them. Let's get into some of your comments. What a boring game, bro. So slow. Did AC Milan know they were losing? Tommy, that's a great point as always, my friend, man. AC Milan felt like they were the team 2-0 up. Like, they were just coasting this game. No foot on the gas, staying in gear 1, gear 2. Where is the urgency from that team? Where is the thought to think, we need to chase this game? Where's the thought to think, we need to get a goal back sooner rather than later? Not at all, man. Not at all. They were just there chilling, thinking, it's all right, man. 2-0 down. We get one goal back, we'll be all right. Let's just keep going bit by bit. No, not one of those players thought, hang on a minute, let's take the game by the scruff of its neck. Not Rafael Leao even thinking, give me the ball and let me make something happen. Now, you can't really rely on Rafael Leao because he just came back from injury, man. Like, we saw in the first leg how alarming it was they were missing Rafael Leao. But even him coming back, they couldn't get a goal. Because one player is enough. They're relying on hero ball. They just want Leao to get the ball and make something special happen from it. But that's not good enough. You need a whole team to build around, man. Whole team to build around. So, I mean, for AC Milan, I'm surprised they won Serie A last season playing like that because it was absolutely terrible. But it's a lesson learned. It's a lesson learned, man. They're going to come back next season stronger, hopefully for them. On the flip side, go Inter Milan. Look, Inter Milan will be underdogs going to the Champions League final. Whoever they play, Real Madrid or Man City, they will be clear underdogs. But they've got a game plan under Inzaghi. They've got a really solid game plan Inter Milan. A game plan where you look at the team and everyone knows their role. Everyone knows their job. It's not a team sheet of star players. I mean, they've still got Mkhitaryan and Edin Dzeko, who I'm surprised still play football. They're big age. But they've got a lot of quality players. A lot of players that know their role really well. Like Denzel Dumfries. You've got Barella in midfield. Like, really solid footballers. And players that know what they're doing. And players that play with a chip on your shoulder, which I always like as well. So, look, I think it will be both Real Madrid and Man City, whoever goes through tomorrow, will be the favourites going to the Champions League final. But one thing Inter Milan have to do, is make it a tough game. Do what you do well. Keep it tight. Because the final is one leg, right? It's not two-legged. It's all decided in 90 minutes in Istanbul. So if Inter Milan keep it tight and stick to their game plan, they can nick something from either of those teams. They can. They've got the quality to do it. You don't get to the Champions League final by a fluke. This isn't a fluke by Inter Milan. They've been really solid this whole competition. They got to keep at it, man. They got to keep at it. Obviously, the game tomorrow will be absolutely massive. Absolutely massive. I think whoever wins that game will think they've got one hand on the trophy, really. But it's Inter Milan's job to keep it tight, man. Keep it tight. Make sure that whoever you play in that final, man, don't concede too early. Because if you keep the game tight past half time, 60 minutes, 70 minutes, whoever it is, Real Madrid or Man City will start to throw extra bodies there and try and win the game. And that's when you can nick some goals on the counter attack. With your five at the back system turning into three at the back with the wing backs pushing on, you're able to commit more bodies forward and create an overload in attacking areas, which you should be utilising. But also make sure you're very good defensively, man. Very good defensively. You've proven that you've conceded 0 goals over these 2 legs against AC Milan. That'll be a massive confidence boost, especially Inter Milan, who were conceded with some of the most shots on target in the whole Champions League. So that's really surprising to see them concede so few goals over these 2 legs. They conceded 0 over 180 minutes against AC Milan. That's brilliant from Inter Milan. But both Real Madrid and Man City will be a completely different test, man. Completely different test. It's like getting a Legoland license and then go to try and drive a real car. Like, it's a completely different test, Man City and Real Madrid. They are 2 different kettles of fish, man. So you got to keep at it. But the confidence they gained today will be brilliant. And I think the quality of Inter Milan has shown that they are a really efficient and pragmatic team. And that's really good to see. A lot of people watching right now, make sure you subscribe if you're new around here and let me know your thoughts in the live chat on the game. I'd love to hear it. No urgency, Tommy says. Agree 100%, man. Like you said before, Tommy, it felt as though AC Milan thought they were up. It felt as though AC Milan thought they were 2-0 up. No, you're 2-0 down. Like I said before, after I reviewed the game, their home leg for AC Milan, I said, look, you're 2-0 down. It's not the end of the world. The plus point is it could have been more. That first leg could have been 3 or 4-0 into Milan. It wasn't. It was only 2-0. So in that second leg, don't chase it too soon, but you got to play with urgency. Don't commit too many bodies forward, because as soon as Inter Milan got 1 goal back to make it 3-0, game was over. But play with some kind of threat. Show that you're a threat going forward, because in the first leg, AC Milan didn't show any sign of threat. It felt too easy for Inter Milan. That can't be the same case tomorrow. It can't be. So if you are AC Milan, you had to show some more kind of threat. And they didn't today. 0 urgency, 0 effort. It felt like a team moonwalking and sleepwalking through this, going through the motions too much. And that's not good enough, man. There's a lot of quality players in that AC Milan side, a lot of established players as well, a lot of players that are playing for their first Champions League. A team in AC Milan who won the Champions League 7 times. This is a historic, traditional club playing in the Champions League. And that was a performance of novices, a performance of mediocre players, a performance of kids shivering when the stage got too big for them. And that's not good enough one bit. Yes, this one was never really in doubt today. I was also watching Luton Sunderland. Luton advanced 3-2 on aggregate. Wow, fair play to Luton going through to the Championship playoff final. Let's see if they get through to the Premier League. That would have been a really good game as well. Was it a good game, Jeff? Why have them on at the same time? Luton were really in control today, but Sunderland were still within 1 lucky shot the whole match. Well, there we go, man. Had to say, I thought both legs were poor. Disappointing Milan derbies, in my opinion. Tomorrow's game will be different caliber. Tommy, you're absolutely right, man. The Champions League, right, between the 2 semi-finals has been some of the most alarming things I've seen. Like, the quality between Real Madrid, Man City, and Inter Milan and AC Milan, it was like genuinely Premier League to League One, relative-wise. Like, Man City, Real Madrid was such a quality game. I know it only finished 1-1, but every single football fan watching that saw 2 quality teams. Like, there was quality seeping through that game, like throughout, whether it was a tactical masterclass, whether it was the good ball retention and good press resistance from Modric and Kroos in there, whether it was City knock around the ball, whether it was the 2 goals from Vinicius and Kevin De Bruyne. It oozed class, that football match. Then I watched AC Milan, Inter Milan, and it felt like a slugfest. It felt like 2 teams going through the motion of it. Inter Milan was a better team, but still, you still felt like they were holding stuff back in the tank. Like, if Inter Milan wanted to, they could have won that first leg 3-4-0 comfortably and put the second tie out of question. They didn't, so the second tie was still a contest. But even so, the second tie was comfortably won by them. But I still got to look at it and think, if I'm Inter Milan, right, you got to put your A game, because playing AC Milan is one thing, but when you go to play Real Madrid or Man City, that's going to be a much tougher game, because those 2 teams prove they are quality, man. They are really good sides at football. Lukaku picking up his play late in the season. Well, here's the thing, man. Lukaku getting a Champions League medal would be the funniest thing ever. Imagine Lukaku with a Champions League medal before De Bruyne. That would be absolutely crazy, man. All the Lukaku memes. Lukaku did well when he came on. Still looks like he's carrying some weight, though. Here's the thing with Lukaku, right? The man is... Obviously, I'm not the biggest fan of Lukaku. And I don't think he's going to go back to Chelsea. To be honest, I think they'll get rid of him. But the man has presence up there. He does. Like, I don't think he's a natural finisher, despite what people say. I never really thought that at all. but he has his body weight, man. Like, he has a body, he can throw it into people, you know, bounce off people, uses his strength well in situations. So he is still a unit up front, and he can create problems. And look, off the bench, anyone would want to utilize Lukaku. Trust me when I say that, man. Any team would love having a Lukaku as a plan B player off the bench. And now, if he wants to accept that role as something different, but he's a good type of plan B striker, arguably the best around. Someone who can lob in late in games and just be a unit up there, throw his body around, be a real presence, a real handful for defenders. That's Lukaku encapsulated. If Lukaku tries to be the star player, the star man, it doesn't work. He had his chance for that. It didn't really work out. Lukaku needs to embrace this role, being a really good plan B striker, a really good striker that could just be there and throw his body around and real create havoc for the defense. That's what he's really good at. So he needs to embrace that role. And I think if he does that, he's sorted, man. Because Inter Milan got a really good, solid team. I said Inter Milan really surprised me, because when I look at that team, I look at the players on the team sheet, there's no real quality there in terms of like individual brilliant players, but it's a real good unit. Everyone knows their roles. Like Henrik Mkhitaryan, I thought he was past it. Edin Dzeko, I thought he was past it. Them two players scored the goals in the first leg. So it just goes to show, man, on paper, these players I thought were past it. But as a team, they're working really well together, man. Really, really well. So I have to give a lot of kudos, man. Inzaghi's well done. Brilliant, man. Done absolutely brilliant. So I have to give him a massive credit as well. Massive thumbs up. So overall, I think from this team, it's been genuinely really solid. Really, really solid from what's it called? From Inzaghi and Inter Milan. Let's see how they do, man. Let's see how they do. Hey, Dennis, appreciate you joining, man. I hope you're doing good. I'm doing well, thank you. What's wrong with the video? Well, my setups, it's a bit laggy, I know, because my setup's changed. So I'm on a field trip right now. Obviously, when I get back home, the setup will be pristine again. Don't worry about that one bit. Next week, I'm back home. The setup will be absolutely perfect. Don't you guys worry about that one bit. But yeah, it's a bit choppy. Hopefully, my audio is fine. That's the main thing that I'm worried about. But yeah, I'm still trying to do some streams despite the fact I'm away from home. But yeah, hope you guys can appreciate that. Are you on stream mode? I am indeed, yes. AC Milan rolled over. They did. And that's the most disappointing thing, right? Like, fans can accept losing. I'm sure every single balanced fan on planet Earth can accept their team losing. It's going to happen. But the manner in which you lose is a really alarming thing. If you lose a game where you gave 100% and you just lost on, I don't know, on like a counter-attacking chance in the final second, you can go, you should do more to stop that. But it's one of those things. You gave 100%. When you watch a team that just doesn't care, shows no urgency, shows no commitment, doesn't look like they're fighting for the badge, doesn't look like they're fighting for this, that's when you got a problem as a team. That's when you got a problem as fans. But I think AC Milan sat there, and for a team that's won the Champions League 7 times, for a team that's got this competition coursing through their veins, for a team that's got some quality in there like Rafael Leao, I think over the two teams, I think AC Milan had the more quality players, but Inter Milan had the better team. I think that's a fair judgment of it. They looked lost out there. From minute one, when Inter Milan came out the traps, minute one in leg one, by the way, from minute one in the San Siro last Wednesday to now, over the course of the week, Inter Milan started the faster and AC Milan could not keep up and they could not recover. Inter Milan started with urgency and AC Milan could not keep up with it. And they had no competition to Inter Milan's urgency. And that was it. That was it. That was the matter of the fact. Inter Milan started fast and AC couldn't keep up. And then you look here and you go, if you can't match intensity, where do you go from there, man? It's Champions League. The first thing you got to do is match the intensity and raise the bar. Because if you're not matching the intensity, you're gonna fall off the pace. If you get to the Champions League semi-final, you're good enough. You're good enough football team. You don't fluke your way to Champions League semi-final. From there, it's who wants it more. Like, because I thought these were two very evenly matched teams. And when you look at all the preview, all the analysis, no one was expecting this to be a blowout 3-0 win to either team. Maybe people were saying AC Milan's win, people were saying Inter Milan's win, but either way, it was tight. And no one that I watched their preview to this tie thought, you know what, Inter Milan are going to win this 3-0 comfortably, and it'll be the most comfortable semi-final ever. No one said that, and vice versa for AC Milan. So it goes to show these were two very evenly matched teams. So with that being the case, it was who wanted it more. And from minute one, we all saw that Inter Milan wanted it more. Everyone will agree with that. Inter Milan, AC Milan fans, and neutrals. Inter Milan wanted it more in defense, wanted it more in attack. Every 50-50, run more yards, passing better, shooting better. Everything about their game spoke, I want a Champions League final and I want to play in Istanbul next month. AC Milan, the complete opposite. And that's how it is in football, bro. It's a game of fine margins. Like I said in the first leg, they lost 2-0. The one benefit for AC Milan was they were still in the tie. You come to this game, and I said, when I reviewed that game, I said, look, previewing the game next week, the first thing AC Milan got to do, don't worry about getting a goal early. That will come. First thing you got to do is you got to match Inter Milan's intensity. That's objective one. Match the intensity and raise the bar, because you can't lack that energy again going into the second leg. They didn't, man. They didn't match any sort of intensity. and they got rolled over. Football's a very long game. It can also be a very short game, man. If you don't start fast, you'll continue to be slow and sluggish, and suddenly you'll run out of time to make a comeback. That's how it works in football. And AC Milan today, they played the game like there was a third leg. They played the game like there was going to be a third leg they had to try in, because it was just poor by all accounts. Not much quality in front of goal. Inter wasteful with some shots. I remember AC Milan had a good chance first half, and it was like a back pass. Exactly. Look, the one good chance I had was Brahim Diaz, right? When it was a cutback, and he just rolled into Onana's path. Like, come on, man. Like, even everything you do on the football pitch, right, shows something about you. Like, I had a coach one time that used to say, don't say it, show it. You can have players that talk a good game and they're really motivating, etc. And I agree with that 100%. But at the same time, you can have players that show something, right? Everything you do, passing, shooting, running, you do it with purpose and you do it with energy. If I pass sluggishly, right, that creates an impact on the team. If I pass zippy, like if you pass fast, if you shoot fast, if you shoot with power, it gives an extra element. It's got an extra oomph in what you do. Inter Milan had that extra oomph. AC Milan, everything they did was sluggish. It felt casual. It felt like they were leaning back in their chair and just doing everything slow and steady. Everything just like lethargic. Like even that shot from Brahim Diaz, the cutback, put some energy into the shot, put some oomph in it, man. He just rolled it at the goalkeeper. Even his shot didn't have any confidence in it. And that was the problem, man. That was the problem. You got to a Champions League semi-final and you lacked all the confidence when you got there. Like, it makes no sense to me. Like I said, it's a learning curve, man. They are still a young team. Despite the tradition and history they've got in this competition, they are still a young team. They can build on it. I think Olivier Giroud should have done an awful lot more as an experienced player in there. I think in these type of games, in these cauldrons of atmospheres, in these cauldron of occasions, you've got to look at the experienced heads to get the players through it. First 10 minutes, Olivier Giroud should have been talking around them saying, look, we need to match the intensity minute one. I want us to be running. I want us to be in their faces. They have to know this is not going to be easy 90 minutes. But that never was the case. Inter Milan could have sleepwalked through this game. They could have got a cup of tea and gone through this game. It was that easy. What do you think about Xhaka leaving? I'm sad, Malia says. Look, Xhaka going by Leverkusen, right? I saw it, £15 million apparently. It's one of those things. I don't feel any attachment to a lot of these Arsenal players, really, because no player is bigger than the club. If the man wants to leave, the man wants to leave. 15 million is a good amount of money. He's done a brilliant job for us, but it's one of those things. We can improve on Granit Xhaka. We're already looking at players like Declan Rice, etc. in the summer. If he wants to go, he wants to go. Thank you for your service. We move on, man. I thought at first that goal today was offside, but when they showed a wider view, the two defenders on the other side of the box were slow to move forward. Well, there's the thing, Jeff, right? In the first leg and the second leg, the defense on AC Milan was porous. Porous, man. Leaking chances. Mike Mannion as well. I picked him up this season, and he deservedly so. He's been a brilliant goalkeeper for AC Milan despite his injuries, right? But some of the goals he's conceded has been poor as well, man. The goal today, a near post goal you've conceded. Come on, man. You're a goalkeeper. You cover your near post. And I'm genuinely someone that gives a lot of praise to goalkeepers. I think it's one of the hardest positions to play on the pitch, and it's one of the most culpable positions on the football pitch, right? You take a lot of the responsibility. Like, you're the only player that can save goals, really. Like, genuinely, like if you make a mistake, it will lead to a goal. Whereas a lot of other players, it might not lead to a goal. They might get away with it. But you're conceding from your near post, man. Like, sometimes you got to look at it, and when your team's under the cosh, when your team's like on the ropes, you need your goalkeeper to save you, just to ride through the storm. I didn't think Mike Mannion did that, man. In either leg, like in the first leg, when AC Milan were on the ropes and Inter Milan were battering them, you need Mike Mannion to just stand up and make a big save. But he didn't really. In fact, he conceded a soft goal, and it all just spurned on from that. I think the goalkeeper is one of the most important positions because it's the foundations of your team. If your goalkeeper is solid, you can build the team off that. And Mike Mannion was not solid this week, bro, and this game. These two legs, Mike Mannion was not solid whatsoever. There was no trust in him going forward. And look, and it never spells any sign of positives. And none of those two are marking anyone. Exactly, man. Well, Fikayo Tomori, I think, had a terrible game as well. I'm going to say if Inter win the final, it would be a massive upset, in my opinion. 100% agree, Tommy. Look, I've a lot of respect for Inter. And look, they've won this tie 3-0. How can you sit there and go, oh, they won't be favourites for the next leg? But genuinely, I think if it's Man City or Real Madrid playing that first leg, they win that 3 or 4-0 and they make the second leg negligible. Genuinely, I think there's Inter Milan is still showing weaknesses throughout this whole competition that will be exposed by both Real Madrid and Man City, whoever gets through. So I look at it and I think the golfing class from Man City and Real Madrid compared to Inter Milan and AC Milan is evident, man. Like, it's genuinely evident. UEFA were very lucky Man City Real Madrid was a semi-final, because if it was Man City versus Inter and Real Madrid versus AC Milan or vice versa, I think that semi-finals would be some of the most boring in history. Genuinely. I think those two semi-finals, if it was Man City versus Inter Milan or Man City versus AC Milan and Real Madrid versus Inter Milan, those would have been two of the most boring semi-finals ever. Genuinely ever. Because the gulf in quality was completely obvious between the two games. Like, if one was a Premier League football match, the other was Championship, if not League One. Like, genuinely, like the quality of the players, the quality of the tactics, the quality of the managers, everything that was just a step up and a step down. So you're looking, you're thinking, Inter Milan, congratulations on your through to final. You're going to have to put in one hell of a performance. Like I said, it's a one-off game, so anything can happen, man. In Istanbul, anything can happen. It's a stadium where we've seen Milan go 3-0 up and then Liverpool come back and win it. So anything can happen in Istanbul. But if you're Inter Milan, you know it's going to be a tough game, man. Nothing like the last two legs against AC. It would be like Gillingham beating Everton. But there we go, man. That's some kind of analogy. Giroud was anonymous. Agree. Completely agree, man. So, look, Olivier Giroud has... did he win the Champions League with Chelsea? I think he did. So he's got experience winning the competition, right? He's been around the block. Obviously, played at Arsenal. Giroud is a man that, when you're struggling, I always look at him as someone that will stand up and take the brunt of things. I don't look at Giroud as someone who hides. I feel like there's a lot of players in world football that hide. When the going gets tough, it's easy to cower. It's easy to like fall away and shield yourself from the criticism and deflect. But Giroud's someone that normally owns up. I do rate the man in that respect. But today, look, he called a meeting with the players. It didn't work. It didn't work. Sometimes you got to sit there. I don't know if Giroud's his person, and less talking, more showing. You know what I mean? Like, be the example. Don't just give the motivational talk. Be the motivation. Like, you look at Messi, for example. When things go tough, Messi doesn't go and start talking to the team. He just says, "Give me the football and let me do something magical." Giroud's not that player. He's trying to talk to the team, but sometimes you need just an example, like a role model. Not someone to just tell you what to do. Because I think every player on the pitch knows what to do. Every player on the pitch knows, look, we have to run more. We have to pass more. We have to shoot better. You know that, man. You're a footballer. Football fans know that. But sometimes you just need someone to do it, and then you follow the leader in that respect. I don't think Giroud was a leader today, man. I don't think Giroud was a leader over both legs. You're the focal point of the team. You're the striker. If anything, even if you're not running as much, let the ball stick to you, man. Like, have some kind of benefit you're providing to the team that the other players can learn off and spring off and get some kind of enthusiasm off. And he wasn't, by any stretch of imagination, by any metric. Giroud wasn't that one bit. So, look, I can give him all the credit he deserves and potentially deserves, but I want Giroud to do much more, man. I want Giroud to do much more. It's a learning curve for him. Look, he might not have many more seasons in the Champions League. Who knows? But he's got to look at himself and think, this is an opportunity missed. Because AC Milan will not get any easier routes to Champions League final, genuinely. And that's no disrespect to Inter Milan, Tottenham, or Napoli. But Napoli were missing Kvara for the first leg, and Osimhen, really, he was half fit. Tottenham, obviously, are Tottenham. And then you've had Inter Milan as well. You dodged Man City and Real Madrid. So if you're AC Milan, you're sitting there thinking, we could have got to this final, like, genuinely. Like, it's one of the easier routes we can get. And it didn't end up happening, man. Atmosphere wasn't as good as last week either. Well, that's the thing, Tommy. When the ties are decided in the first leg, the second leg becomes negligible in many respects. Now, I'm not saying this was decided because it was only 2-0. And like I said, anything can change in football. 2-0 is still a very dangerous scoreline. But I equally said in the review last week, right? This was a 2-0 that was in disguise of 3 or 4. This wasn't a 2-0 in disguise of 2-2. Like, Inter Milan won this game 2-0, but should have won it 3 or 4-0. Like, the golfing quality between the two teams was apparent. Clear and obviously apparent. So I think the fact that it finished 2-0 should have galvanized Milan, that they didn't lose by more goals, but it did the opposite. It sucker punched them. Because then they realized, look, we're nowhere near as good. And they came out into the second leg with a point to prove, and they didn't prove it one bit. Yes, goalkeeper always looks bad when beaten on the near post. I think he was already starting to move expecting shot headed to the far post. Well, here's the thing, right? Goalkeepers nowadays are gambling a lot. Even on like set pieces and stuff, man, they're taking a step to the wall side to then jump back over. You got to trust your players in football, man. Just like any other occupation in the world, football's about trust. If you set up your wall, trust your wall to defend that side, man. How many times do you see a goalkeeper step to the left to try and defend the wall, and then they get beaten on their side? And then who's to blame? The goalkeeper. Look, I get it. The goalkeeper's trying to be a hero, but you got to trust your team, man. Deal with your side first. I always got to look at it and think, deal with your job, right? If Lautaro Martinez whacks that top bins and not a goalkeeper planning off can save it, I'm not blaming Mike Manuel. You just hold your hands up and say, what a goal. But if Lautaro Martinez scores near post as he does, I sit there and I grill Mike Manuel for that. That's how I say. As a goalkeeper, I know you want to save the goal, and I know that your job is to save it, but do your job first, man. Account for what you can account for. Because if Lautaro Martinez hits it top bins, like I said, you hold your hands up and you say, what a goal. But if he scores near post, which is the easier chance of scoring top bins, by the way, you got to sit there and go, why wasn't I doing my job? And that was Mike Manuel today. Do your job, brother. Defend the near post, and you might still have a 0-0. And who knows? If Milan scored with 10 minutes to go, suddenly it's 2-1, and they've got the momentum. Momentum is a crazy thing in football. So I look in, I go, goalkeeper's first got to do his job. And I don't think Mike Manuel covered himself in glory over both legs, to be honest. Both legs, really. Come here, say sorry, mate. Busy with personal stuff. No problem, Luke, whatsoever, man. I appreciate you checking in and saying that. And tomorrow will be a massive game as well. come back tomorrow, Luke, the game will be better. Exactly, Jeff, 100% agree. I'm going to try and improve the stream quality for tomorrow as well. I've got 48 people tuning in right now. Make sure you subscribe if you're new around here and drop a like down below. I'm on a field trip right now, so this isn't my usual setup. Don't worry, my usual setup is much better. And there's a lot of the people that turn up a lot to my streams will tell you that as well. It's just because I'm on a field trip at university, but I continue to provide the content as I always try to do. So make sure you subscribe if you're new around here and let me know your thoughts of the game in the live chat. Giroud must be on the verge of retirement now. He must be 36 or 37. I think he's nearing that stage. I think he is. But look, Giroud, because of the way he plays football, right, he doesn't rely on his athleticism as much. So I think he can stay for a while because Giroud plays football being a target man, using his body, using his height and flick-ons. He's not running an awful lot. He's not pressing an awful lot. He's just utilizing his body well. So I think he can survive, man. And a lot of teams will take him because I think Giroud's embraced being a plan B striker now. I think he has. Look, AC Milan utilize him as their star striker. That never should be the case. I think Giroud's reached a point in his career now where he can't be the starting striker for you. But I think a lot of Premier League teams, for example, will take Giroud as a plan B striker. A striker they can throw the dice with last 20 minutes to just bring on the pitch and lob some crosses in the box and get him to link up with another striker. So I think he's still good at that game. You don't lose that side to you, right? Like, players like Iniesta, Ronaldinho have retired, right? They can still pass the ball short. They can still link up play. It's just their legs that's hindering them. They can't run as much as other players. But I think Giroud's still got the legs enough in him to link up play, to be a target man. So I think he's a really good plan B striker for a lot of teams. Watching those two games, I'm wondering how AC Milan got to the semis. I'm wondering how AC Milan won the Scudetto last season. That's what I'm wondering, man. How did they win Serie A last season? Because when I look at AC Milan today, the gulf in class, not only between Inter Milan and AC Milan, but also between AC Milan and both Man City and Real Madrid was apparent. AC Milan looked discombobulated. It looked like a team of individuals. They didn't have Rafael Leao last week, and I said they looked lost. It's like they were waiting for Rafael Leao to turn up and do something special, and he wasn't on the pitch. Today they had Rafael Leao, and they still looked lost. They're still waiting for him to turn up and do something special. With AC Milan, it's all a case of give the ball to the star player and let him cook. Let him do something. And that's not right. No team that goes far in football survives off individuals. Even the best Barcelona team under Pep Guardiola had the brilliance of Lionel Messi, but he will be the first one to tell you it was not just him. Like, even if he took Messi out of the team, that Barcelona team would still be brilliant. I'm not saying it would have reached the same heights because Messi's that X factor, that superstar, but it still would have been brilliant because the whole squad was quality. When you take Rafael Leao out of AC Milan, the quality reduces tenfold it reduces, and that's not good enough. You can't set up a team that's sustainable off one star player. It never works because all it takes is that one star player getting injured and you become a top team to a mediocre team, and that's never ever sustainable. It's not good for the confidence of the rest of the players. It's not good for the confidence of the fans, for the club, and of course other clubs that are facing you will thrive off that as well. I think Inter Milan have won 4 in a row against AC Milan now. That should hurt. It should, man. And look, AC Milan and Inter Milan, there shouldn't be that big a difference between those two teams. They're both quality teams. Obviously, I know there's a clear gulf in quality between Inter Milan and AC Milan, as we saw over the both legs. But in terms of personnel, I think AC Milan got the better individuals. It shouldn't be a case where you're getting outclassed every game. Like, that should not be the case. If Inter Milan won this 3-2 on aggregate and it was a tightly contested match, I also then go fair play to AC Milan and Inter Milan. Both put in a shift. Inter Milan were a better team. But when I'm sitting here and reflecting that it was a 3-0 Inter Milan over 2 legs, and it could have been 3, it was 3-0, could have been 4-5-0, not 3-0, could have been 3-1, 3-2. You got to sit there and go, Inter Milan were much better. Like, is there no pride? Like, if I'm an Arsenal fan, right? If I see my team lose to Tottenham 4 games in a row, I'm sitting there, I'm thinking, you got to get something from these games. Like, I don't care how bad you are. Sometimes pride has got to kick in. Like, when you're fighting for something, when you're fighting for more than just points, you reach that new superior status. It's why teams like Leeds, Brentford can pick up points against Man City, Arsenal. Southampton can pick up a point against Arsenal, for example. Because in terms of on paper quality, you're thinking there's no way. Like, Arsenal are a much better team than Southampton. But when you're fighting for more, when you've got that extra urgency, that extra pride on the line, you reach an extra gear. It's like you get plus in attributes. I feel like AC Milan didn't have that. AC Milan were happy to lose. It was like a team of players, right, that didn't want to represent the badge. It's like they were playing for themselves. They weren't playing for AC Milan. And that's really got to be worrying for the AC Milan fan base, right? Because they turned up in that first leg. The atmosphere was electric. And the fans didn't match that, right? The players didn't match that. The players got to match the intensity, man. And whenever I say there's an intensity from the crowds, it goes 2 ways. A lot of players will under that pressure, whereas other players thrive off that pressure. They thrive off the atmosphere. And I feel like the AC Milan players didn't. They didn't thrive off the atmosphere one bit. They wilted under it. And that's really got to be worrying really got to be worrying. Like I said, they won Serie A last year. If I look at the balance of these two games, would never have thought so. If an alien came down to earth and watched Inter Milan versus AC Milan over these two legs, they would have thought, bloody hell, what's this AC Milan team, man? They're absolutely terrible. How'd they reach the semi-final? Because they were that bad. But like I said, there's still a lot to turn around. There's still a lot to change. If you're AC Milan, you go again next year. It's one of those things. If you're Inter Milan, you've got a brilliant shot to win the Champions League final. Like I said, you're not exactly going to be favourites. You're going to be massive underdogs, but you've got a good, efficient style there. I think Inzaghi's done a brilliant job. And it actually feeds into Tommy's question here. How do you think Inter will approach the final? Brilliant. I was just going to talk about that. So you're going to be underdogs, Inter Milan. You're going to be. Whether it's Real Madrid or Man City, you're going to be underdogs. But you've got to possess a threat. It's a one-legged game. And that will obviously go to your advantage, right? You don't want to play two legs against Real Madrid or Man City because they'll blow you apart over two legs. Their quality will shine through. But in one game, in a one-off final, anything can happen. I think you'd rather play Real Madrid, I want to say, just because Man City look out of this world. But at the same time, you probably want to play Man City because of Real Madrid's experience. So at the end of the day, both are tough assignments in their own right. But if you're Inter Milan, right, you've got to make sure first protocol is defend deep and defend well. Defend your box well, because if you defend, both Real Madrid and Man City will get frustrated, and that's what you want. Because when frustration kicks in, mistakes kick in. Trust me, it happens, man. They will know Man City, they're playing for a Champions League. Never won a Champions League before, so they're gonna have a bit of frustration. They're gonna want to fly out the traps on the Guardiola. So if you sustain them, that's the main thing. You got to also show some kind of threat on the counter attack. You have to show some kind of threat, so that whether it's Man City or Real Madrid, they're sitting there thinking, hang on a minute, we just saw Edin Dzeko go through, Lautaro Martinez go through, Dumfries go through as well. That's okay, we're going to have to hold some man back. If you show no counter-attacking threat, it's impossible. It's impossible to win the game, because then Man City will think, hang on a minute, this is easy. We can just box these guys in. It's going to be relentless pressure, and the walls will close in on you. So if you're Inter Milan, you've got to show some kind of counter-attacking threat. You have to remain defensively assured. That's step one. Step one, defend well. Don't concede early. No silly mistakes. Be intense as well. Be ready to fight. Slow the game down. Play the dark horse if you have to. Take time on goal kicks. Make some tactical fouls, etc. Play the game, but defend well. But also show a threat on the counter attack. Show some kind of threat. Show something to get Man City scared, to get Real Madrid scared, to make them second guess themselves and think, hang on a minute, maybe we have to keep a couple more men back than we were anticipating doing so. So that's the main thing for Inter Milan. Defend well and also show a threat. You're going to have less of the football, accept it. You're going to be the underdogs, accept it. But do your game well. Do your plan well, and you can get something from the final. I promise you that, man. Random and real, appreciate you joining the stream as always. Hope you're doing well. Make sure you subscribe if you're new around here. Anyone else that's new around here, make sure you subscribe for football-related reactions. Not as exciting between Thailand versus Indonesia on SEA Games final today. Well, I hope that went well, random and real. I didn't watch it, of course, but I hope it went well. Inter chasing number 4. Indeed. Inter Milan have won 3 Champions Leagues. Man City won 0. Real Madrid have won 14, I believe. 14 Champions Leagues, I want to say. And, of course, AC Milan have won 7, but they're out now. So, yeah, Inter, like I said, they've got the experience of winning the Champions League before. Like another historic, traditional club. I think they're better than AC Milan. They've proved it. They've proved it over the 2 legs. But also, I think they're a better match as well for both Real Madrid and Man City. I know more about Man City than Real Madrid because I'm a Premier League fan. I'm an Arsenal fan. So I watched a lot of Man City. Man City are the best team in the world. Genuinely, like in terms of pure quality, they are good, man. Like quality team. Man City showed very little weakness whatsoever. I think if you try and fight Man City for football, you will fail. You'll get put in the mud because Man City are the best footballing team. But you can anger Man City and you can frustrate them. And that's got to be your route to success. Frustrate Man City. That's the way. And if they do that, anything can happen, man. Anything can happen. Won the last final in 2010, of course, under Jose Mourinho, man. Brilliant. Also, give a shout out to Eredivisie. Feyenoord won it. Big up Feyenoord, man, for winning the Eredivisie. It's good to see them win it because normally it's just Ajax and PSV every year. But yeah, big up Feyenoord for that. And big up Barcelona for winning La Liga as well. And Napoli for Serie A as well. Big up them. And basically big up Man City for winning the Premier League. For gritted teeth being an Arsenal fan. But yeah, it's one of those things. But yeah, if you're Inter Milan, trust me, I'm tuning into this final no matter what. You can get something. Because I think it will be too one-sided that anything can happen. Do you get what I mean? Like, no matter if it's Real Madrid or Man City, everyone will be watching that game thinking, okay, Man City or Real Madrid, you're gonna win the Champions League. Like, they will treat the game tomorrow like the final. They will. And so you got to take that to your advantage because when the team gets too complacent, that's when you can be at your best. Like I said, with teams like Man City and Real Madrid, they're that good that to win the football game, you got to be defensively brilliant, you got to be attackingly brilliant, but you also got to have a bit of luck. And those teams going to beat themselves. Like Man City, their biggest enemy can be their self, right? Like against West Ham in the first half, they were crap. There was no intensity to their game. Pep Guardiola said it himself. You had to change your team for the next game. So your biggest problem can be yourself, man. And I think if you're Man City and Real Madrid, you got to show no complacency. And if you're at the same time, if you're Inter Milan, you got to stick to your game plan and provide some kind of threat. Confidence is a big thing in the game, man. Take the game in stages. Whenever you're the underdog, take the game in stages. 10-minute spells, 15-minute spells. Get through blocks of the game. Make no mistakes early. Play the dark arts if you have to. Go down with tactical fouls. Sorry, make tactical fouls. Go down with injuries to slow the clock down. Everything you can do to keep the game progressing, that has got to be the plan for Inter Milan. What do you think of Barca's celebrations against Espanyol, right? Their local rivals. I mean, look, they won the league, man. They won the league, bro. It's one of those things. I don't think it was all right for the Espanyol fans to rush the pitch, to be honest. But yeah, they ran off real quick when they saw the other fans coming. I'll tell you that for free. When they're at local rivals, Espanyol. Well, there we go, man. Arsenal won the league at White Hart Lane. It's brilliant feeling. Mr. Arteza, thank you for joining the stream. As always, do you think Brentford wins something next season? No. I don't think they do. No disrespect to Brentford, I think they're a brilliant team. I just don't think they'll have the quality to win any trophy. Personally, I just don't think they will, because Ivan Toney's band's going to kick in next season, apparently. I think their squad's really good. Their squad's really pragmatic, and it does draw parallels to Inter Milan in the style of football they play, especially utilize their wing backs very well. But like I said at the top of the stream, right, to win a trophy is very tough. Like, you can be the best team and you still might not win a trophy, because you got to have an extra part to your game. You got to have that extra mile, that extra inch. Brentford are very pragmatic. They're quality in what they do, but can they take that next step? That's the real question, man. To win an FA Cup, you got to win in multiple facets. To win a Premier League, of course, that's out of this world with Man City. Like, Arsenal done so well this season, and we still bottled the league. If we won any other league, Serie A, La Liga, Bundesliga, well, we probably would have won the league. But it's one of those things. So no, I don't think so. What's it called? I don't think Brentford are anywhere near. No, I doubt it as well. But look, FA Cups, Carabao Cups are there for a reason, man. They're cup competitions. Anything can happen. So they can make a minor impact on Brentford. Will Brentford sign De Zerbi? Absolutely not. No chance whatsoever. Middlesbrough, Coventry to win the playoffs. I think it will be. I think Middlesbrough to win the playoffs. But I put my money on Middlesbrough. Why? Because I think Michael Carrick's playing a brilliant brand of football, and I'm always someone that loves seeing football first. So I think that's why I'm going for them. Middlesbrough says he says as well. Jeff says Middlesbrough as well. But yeah, Inter Milan, you're going through to the final, right? I think playing first, I think is an advantage as well, because now you can sit back and assess both where Real Madrid and Man City are at. You will know that you're going to be second favourites. You'll know you're going to be the underdogs. No one's going to go into that game thinking, oh, we're going to win this comfortably. We're favourites. You're not. You're gonna take a lot of punishment in that game, just like a box on the ropes. You're going to take punishments. You might be on the ropes for rounds 1 to 9, but stay in the game, man. It's a final. It's Istanbul. For most of these players, it might be the only final they play in their life. There's a lot of experience in that squad. Edin Dzeko. They've got players like Hakan that's been around the block, man. They've still got young players like Dumfries, like Onana, players like that, man. So really, really good. So they got to make sure they're strong defensively. Don't give Real Madrid or Man City any sort of confidence that they're going to score goals early. Get them frustrated, because when you get frustrated, your quality of your game decreases exponentially. Trust me when I say that, man. Once frustration kicks in, you're not the same football team. So if you're Inter Milan, you got to make sure that's your first port call. Defend well, defend deep, frustrate. Those are the 3 things you got to do. Defend well, defend deep, frustrate, and show some threat on the counter-attack. You show some kind of threat on the counter-attack, you see someone charging through and get a chance early, suddenly Man City go, hang on a minute, we can't throw as many bodies forward. Suddenly round you go, hang on a minute, that was a chance, they could have scored. And if you get a goal early, you sit back and you defend well and you counter-attack again, man. It's a one-legged game. It's a final. Anything can happen, man. Anything can happen. You've got 3 Champions Leagues on your sleeve for a reason if you're Inter Milan. You can get a 4th. Trust me when I say that. So that's got to be the main thing. But yeah, previewing the game tomorrow, Man City versus Real Madrid, I think it'll be an absolutely brilliant game. The first leg was unbelievable. My prediction, I'm going to stick to it, as I've said from the start. Man City are going to win the Champions League, and that means they'll win tomorrow. They've got an impeccable record at the Etihad. You could tell they were very delighted going into that second leg, man. Very, very delighted. In the first leg, at Real Madrid, right, I think they dominated the first 30 minutes. They were absolutely brilliant, toying with Real Madrid at times, playing football around the park, really, really good. And Man City are really good on Pep Guardiola at suffocating. It's a really tough thing to do. Look, the mental side of football is extremely underrated. No one talks about it enough. I feel like I'm one of the only streamers that talks about the mental side of football. When Man City pass the ball around, people will say, oh, but they're just passing it. They don't do anything interesting. They just pass the ball left and right. What people don't realize is when you're on that pitch and you're running left and right, chasing the ball, it's mentally draining. Pep Guardiola doesn't want his team to pass the ball to pass the ball. They want his team to pass the ball, to frustrate the opponent, to mentally wear down the opponent. Football's a mental game. Once the opponent's lost mentally, you've won the football match. And that's what Man City do. They pass the ball to wear down the opponent mentally, get them tired. Not just physically tired, but mentally tired. And then another thing they do is when they lose the ball, they win it back quickly. Because trust me, if you've been chasing the ball for 2 minutes, then you win it back, then lose it within 3 seconds, and then you start chasing it again. That's the most mentally draining thing ever. It's the most mentally draining thing of all time. So that's what Man City do. And I think that first 30 minutes, they were brilliant at that. Brilliant. They went to the Bernabeu and they dominated for 30 minutes. I've never seen any other team do it. Genuinely, so good. It was one of the most one-sided first 30 minutes I think anyone was expecting. I was sitting there thinking, yes, Man City got a chokehold in this game. I wasn't even a Man City fan, but I was impressed. But Real Madrid showed that class and showed that counter-attacking threat. And they got a goal from Vinicius. And look, after that first goal, for all the dominance Man City had, they looked rocked. Because for the middle 30 minutes of the game, Real Madrid were on top. Genuinely, the first 30 minutes was all Man City. Then for the last 15 minutes of the first half and first 15 minutes of the second half, it was all Real Madrid, man. They rocked Man City. They got that first goal, and suddenly Man City were like, hang on a minute. We were dominating, but Vinicius just scored a brilliant goal as well. We're 1-0 down. Oh, okay, hang on a minute. That's when Real Madrid should have really put their foot on the gas and got the second goal, because then it could have been out of sight. Arguably, let's be real about it, controversially as well, both goals came against a run of play, because then what happened is De Bruyne did exactly what I praised Real Madrid for doing. Man City were under the ropes a little bit, but a big player stood up and was counting, man. I always talk about big players standing up in the big games, and De Bruyne has been exactly that, man. Criminally underrated. I know he gets plaudits, but he deserves way more. When his team was struggling Man City, when Real just started to take some ascendancy in the game, he said, give me the ball, and he licked it from far. Because for all the good play Man City were having, they weren't really cutting open Real Madrid like that. They weren't really getting clear-cut one-on-one chances. It was going to take something magical, and boy, did De Bruyne deliver that, man. Outside the box, just whacked it, bottom bins, brilliant strike. And that came against a run of play. And I think for the first 30 minutes, Man City got better as well. And it became a really evenly contested match. And by the end of it, you could tell Man City were happy with the 1-1. So they go into the game tomorrow, right? Knowing if they win at the Etihad, the game can still go to extra time at the Etihad. There's no away goals. They're going through to the final. I think Pep Guardiola would have taken that every day. Their record at the Etihad is good in Champions League matches. It's a way they normally struggle. I think it was a really good plus point for them that the ties worked out so that the second leg is at the Etihad rather than the Bernabeu. I think that really helps Man City. Let's see what they do, man. Let's see what they do. I think if you're looking at it in your Man City, I think you're going to be the favourites. I think they have to be, being there at home. But one thing about Real Madrid is this team makes any stadium their home stadium. Genuinely, they're that good at it, man. They lost the first leg in the Copa del Rey semi-final, 1-0, right, at the Bernabeu. And you're thinking, hang on a minute, Barcelona are cruising. Then they go to Nou Camp and slam dunk 4 goals on them. Imagine you lose 1-0 at home to Barcelona, your arch rivals, El Clasico, the biggest rivalry in world football. You lose 1-0 at home, then you just go to the Nou Camp and dunk 4 goals on them. Crazy scenes. They go to Anfield, one of the most hostile places on planet Earth, and win 5-2, going 2-0 down early. So Real Madrid have the capacity to make any stadium their home stadium. They move that aura. I talk about AC Milan having 7 right here. Real Madrid have got double that. They've got 14 on this sleeve right here, man. They know how to win Champions League matches. They know how to win matches in general. They'll walk into the Etihad with no fear. They'll walk into the Etihad knowing this is our competition, man. We've got 14 Champions Leagues. They've got 0. Like, Champions League is associated with Real Madrid. In word association, we are Champions League. Champions League is us. So they're going to walk into that stadium thinking, this is our dawn. This is our dawn. We drew at the Bernabeu, so be it. We'll come to the Etihad and we'll clean up. And Vinicius Jr. will come to play. And Rodrigo will come to play. And Benzema will come to play as well. It's how do you compete? That's the real question, man. That's the real question for me. I think Man City got the massive plus point of giving Erling Haaland some confidence. Going into the first leg, right? Haaland had an absolute stinker against Leeds. Absolute stinker, man. Couldn't get anything going. And even at the end, when he got a penalty, I was dreaming for him to take it, but Gundogan took it instead and missed it. So what happened is, going into one of the biggest games of the season, Haaland had no confidence because he missed an abundance of chances against Leeds. Going into the second leg, though, he scored against Everton. He scored a brilliant header as well. So suddenly he goes into the game in the second leg, Haaland, with a goal in his belt. So I think it's going to be really, really brilliant. I think it's going to be a really intense game, really exciting. Let's see what happens. My money's on Man City, but anything can happen, man. Facts, Manny says, I appreciate it. How surprised would you be if Madrid win? I would be surprised, but strange things have happened. Look, let's be real, right? I'd be surprised if any team beats Man City at the Etihad. So this is no disrespect to Real Madrid whatsoever. Like, genuinely, any team on planet Earth, I promise you, I'll be surprised if they win at the Etihad. But one thing I will say, if there's any team that can do it, it's Real Madrid. I'll say that for free. They're one of the only teams on planet Earth that I believe have the capability of winning at the Etihad. because it is a fortress, man. It is an absolute fortress. Stop Vinny Jr., you stop Real Madrid. Yeah, but if only it was that simple, man. Like, easier said than done. But I agree with you to an extent. Vinicius Jr. and Rodrigo are the outlets, right? I talk about having a counter-attacking threat, and Real Madrid possess one of the most electrifying counter-attacking threats in world football. Real Madrid can play 27% possession and still look the more dangerous team. It's crazy. Genuinely, it's crazy. Equally, they'll have 75% and look dangerous. That team is built so brilliantly, man. Genuinely, it's built so well. They've got a brilliant blend of expertise, experience, and young, youthful tenacity. Like, you've got the youth exuberance on the wings with Vinicius and Rodrigo, but equally, you've got the real press-resistant veterans of the game of Modric and Kroos that will say, when the going gets tough, give me the ball, let me just hold on to it a little bit, spread those passes out wide. I think you need that, man. The midfield battle, look, it might not always be one Real Madrid, but they'll have the mental ability to win it. They'll have the players that have been there and done that before. So I think that's the main thing for Real Madrid. Like I said, I cannot wait for that game tomorrow. Of course, I'll be covering it on this channel, on my football, so make sure you stay tuned for that one. Can't wait to cover it. Make sure you subscribe if you're new around here as well. As always, let me know your thoughts in the live chat. I appreciate everyone joining the stream. As always, if you just joined in right now, I want to hear all about my thoughts on Inter Milan 1, AC Milan 0, 3-0 aggregate. Make sure you scroll right back to the start of the stream and I talk all about it. Make sure you subscribe if you're new around here as well. I appreciate everyone tuning as always. Drop a like down below so the stream goes out to more people. And let me know in the comment section as well your thoughts. I'm going to start to wrap up this stream now. But I will be streaming it again tomorrow, so no worries whatsoever. Regarding any comments, I'll be covering all those tomorrow, especially regarding Man City, Real Madrid, a massive second leg in the Champions League. But yes, Inter Milan won 1-0, 3-0 aggregate, complete cruise, man. For a Champions League semi-final, so disappointing, the golfing quality between the two sides. Inter Milan were not tested one bit. AC Milan expected a lot more from, but just did not provide it whatsoever. Did not match Inter Milan's intensity one bit, and they crash out of the Champions League. But on the flip side, Inter Milan go through to the Champions League final in Istanbul against either Man City or Real Madrid. It will be a tantalizing final. I can't wait to cover it on this channel as well. It's an absolute joy to watch Vinicius Jr. play. I'd pay to watch this man baller. Agree, man. So good. One of the most exciting players in world football. But yeah, tomorrow's game, can't wait as well, will be even better than today's game, man. Man City, Real Madrid, titanic clash. I'll be wonderful. I appreciate everyone tuning as always. Make sure you subscribe if you're new around here. And I hope to see you all in the next one. Take care.